There is no do-over for retirement. Are you confident that you're ready to take the plunge? Today we explore 5 things you should be doing 3 years prior to retirement. Stay tuned. Anthony and Alex here from 1 Degree Advisors. Are you about 3 years out from retirement? Today we're going to break down 5 keys to success when it comes to retirement. Make sure to like and share this with others. All right, Alex, so let's get right into it. Retirement's a big decision. People have worked their entire lives to get to that point. Navigating the transition with success starts years before people actually get into retirement.
Yeah, and today we're talking about 5 things people should really take inventory of and account for. Yeah. I know there's more than these 5, but if we simplify it down, I would say these are the 5 most important things people need to do about 3 years out from retirement.
Yeah, so let's kick it off with taking inventory of income sources. And I like to also think about it in terms of establishing stability in your income.
Yeah, so a lot of people are going to have things like Social Security. Maybe you'll have a pension, either a private pension or a public pension. And maybe you also have rent. So really accounting for all these different income sources establishes a base.
So also we want to do that is establishing or understanding really your expenses.
Yeah, so that's number 2 is really looking at your expenses. I want to give a cautionary tale here. Most people underestimate their expenses, right? Most people go, I live pretty frugally, I don't spend that much. What most people fail to account for is things like holidays, birthday parties. I'm going to need a new car in the next couple of years here, right? All these expenses really start to add up. So we don't necessarily need to put people on budgets, and you don't need to have every single thing budgeted out, but you need to have a good idea of what you're spending and be prepared to, satisfy that spending in retirement.
As retirees get into it, most people want to keep the same standard of living, right? Simply adding up your expenses is not always enough. It's looking at where am I actually spending right now before retirement, and how can I convey that into retirement.
And being conservative and giving yourself a cushion.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so next is planning for those gap years.
Yeah, this one is really important. I think this is one most retirees fail to account for. So really your gap years is the time when you start retirement and the period of time until sources of income like Social Security or your pension begin. These are golden years for planning. A lot of people don't do planning during this time. During these gap years, your income might be very, very low. Your tax rate might be low. It could be a golden opportunity to do things like Roth conversions, take advantage of your low tax rate and really lower your lifetime tax bill.
Right. Planning for those gap years is really important in the transition, not just up front, but where are those gap years going to come up in the future?
So let's take a look at an example here. So we have our character. Her name is Sally. Let's say Sally wants to retire at 62. Now, Sally has decided to wait to take Social Security at her full retirement age of 67. So during this period of time, she's going to have to make up income until Social Security starts. These are called the gap years. These are golden years of planning opportunity, and you really have to plan out, how am I going to make up my income before big income sources like Social Security, pensions start to kick in?
So most people also know that not everything works out on paper, in reality, just like you draw it up on paper. So in that scenario, like, what are the what-if scenarios that we should be planning for?
Well, again, let's go back to our scenario here. Sally has very accurately estimated her expenses. She was conservative, but this is what an average year looks like. Part of our planning process, and really what we help folks with, is planning for the what ifs in life, right? What happens if I have a long-term care event? What happens if inflation really starts to heat up? What happens if investment returns don't look as good going forward, right? All these different what ifs can really start to derail a plan. But what can give folks confidence is to say, look, I've what if these different scenarios. Here's how we can react and change based upon different circumstances.
Yeah, and we can't plan for everything, but we can create enough cushion and flexibility in a plan to be able to address those needs as they come up.
Yep.
All right, so then lastly, aligning your investment plan with your financial plan.
And yeah, we'll end on this one. This one's really important because you need to make sure the investments are aligned with your different income sources, what your expenses are going to be, and what your gap years might look like. So one of the biggest mistakes we'll see a lot of retirees make is they don't have enough in things like cash and bonds for those first several years of retirement. What that does is that puts you at risk for what's called sequence of returns risk. I'll show this visually because it can be a little bit of a complex subject, but I think this illustration breaks it down very, very nicely. Here you'll see portfolio A, B, and C. Okay, average annual returns between all three is 7%. But you'll notice, oh man, their destination is vastly different. Well, why is that? Well, portfolio A in the first year had a 22% return. Portfolio B in the first year had a 7% return, and then portfolio C in the third year had a negative 7% return. So basically what happens here is sequence of return risk. If you have a negative year early on, it has a really negative impact on your long-term retirement plan. So that's why making the portfolio investment appropriate at the onset is so important.
We know that stock markets are cyclical, that can affect investments. Having those large negative returns in the very early parts of retirement are particularly dangerous. That's why it needs to be planned for with a well-diversified portfolio. And let us know what you think. What did we miss, and what are you doing to prepare for a successful retirement? If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.